July 27, 2012, the day the United States Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, released a 200-page dossier that would shatter the myth of a sporting legend and ignite one of the biggest scandals in modern athletics. The greatest cycling champion of all time was also the greatest cheat in sports history, and the world would watch as his empire of triumph crumbled under the weight of evidence, testimony, and a relentless pursuit of truth. Lance Armstrong rose from the ashes of a 1996 testicular cancer diagnosis to claim 7 consecutive Tour de France victories, a feat that seemed impossible for a man who had once faced his own mortality. Born in 1971 in Plano, Texas, Armstrong turned pro in 1992, quickly establishing himself as a prodigious talent with a powerful sprint and a relentless work ethic. By 1999, his comeback from chemotherapy was not just a personal triumph. It became a global narrative of hope, resilience, and the unstoppable human spirit. Sponsors flocked, millions of dollars poured into his foundation, and his daily rituals were broadcast worldwide, cementing his status as a cultural icon. Yet behind the scenes, whispers of unnatural performance began to circulate. In the late 1990s, the cycling world was already steeped in doping scandals, from the Festina affair in 1998 to the rampant use of erythropoietin EPO that could boost red blood cell production and dramatically improve endurance. Armstrong's meteoric rise coincided with an era when teams employed sophisticated medical staff, clandestine laboratories, and a code of silence that protected the sport's darkest secrets. The USADA investigation, codenamed Operation Adurlas, assembled a mosaic of testimonies from former teammates, doctors, and even a whistle-blowing pharmacist who claimed to have supplied the doping cocktail known as the Armstrong Protocol. Key facts emerged from the mountain of evidence. Testimonies from former teammates such as Floyd Landis, Tyler Hamilton, and George Hincapie painted a picture of a regimented program involving EPO, blood transfusions, testosterone, and cortisone. Internal team emails revealed coded language: the orange juice for blood draws, the green for testosterone, while financial records traced payments to a network of anti-doping specialists operating out of a discreet clinic in Las Vegas. Moreover, laboratory analysis of stored blood samples from the early 2000s, when retested with modern methods, showed elevated levels of synthetic hormones inconsistent with natural physiology. When USADA presented its case to the Union Cycliste Internationale (UCI) in 2012, the organization faced an unprecedented crossroads. The evidence was not just circumstantial, it was a meticulously documented trail of deceit. The UCI, under pressure from sponsors, fans, and anti-doping advocates, convened a special tribunal. The hearing, held in Zurich, lasted several days with former teammates taking the stand under oath, recounting secret training sessions, micro-dosing, regimens, and the omnipresent threat of retaliation for anyone daring to speak out. Armstrong's legal team attempted to discredit witnesses, suggesting personal vendettas and financial motives, but the sheer volume of corroborating details made those arguments untenable. On October 22, 2012, the tribunal delivered its verdict. Lance Armstrong was stripped of all 7 Tour de France titles, banned for life from competitive cycling, and ordered to forfeit any prize money earned during the period in question. The decision sent shockwaves through the sporting world, prompting a cascade of sponsor withdrawals. Nike, Trek, Anheuser-Busch, and the United Healthcare brand severed ties, resulting in an estimated financial loss exceeding $100 million for Armstrong. The fallout extended beyond the balance sheet. Fans who had rallied behind his narrative of redemption felt betrayed, and a generation of young cyclists grappled with the erosion of a role model they had idolized. In the aftermath, Armstrong's attempts at damage control were marked by defiance and denial. In a televised interview with Oprah Winfrey in January 2013, he famously claimed, "I never doped. I'm a clean athlete." The interview was met with universal derision, as the evidence had already been laid bare. The following month, faced with mounting legal pressure and the threat of a civil lawsuit from the U.S. Department of Justice, Armstrong finally admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs throughout his career in a candid televised confession. He described a system that operated like a well-orchestrated factory, where athletes, doctors, and team staff conspired to outwit the anti-doping authorities. The scandal reshaped the landscape of professional cycling. The UCI introduced stricter biological passport protocols, random out-of-competition testing, and harsher penalties for violations. The sport's governing bodies also began a concerted public relations campaign to restore credibility, emphasizing transparency and a zero-tolerance stance on doping. Meanwhile, former rivals such as Alberto Contador and Chris Froome, who had themselves faced doping allegations, found their legacies re-examined under this new lens, prompting broader conversations about the culture of performance enhancement in elite athletics. Beyond the world of cycling, Armstrong's case served as a cautionary tale for all sports. It highlighted how celebrity, wealth, and public adulation can mask systemic corruption, and how the pursuit of victory can erode ethical boundaries. Anti-doping agencies worldwide adopted more collaborative approaches, sharing intelligence across borders and leveraging advanced detection technologies such as isotope ratio mass spectrometry to differentiate endogenous from synthetic substances. The Armstrong saga also spurred legislative action, leading to the passage of the Athlete Integrity Act in several jurisdictions, mandating stricter record-keeping and harsher sanctions for those who facilitate doping. Today, the legacy of Lance Armstrong is a paradox. While his tour victories no longer exist in the official record books, the myth of his comeback continues to inspire those battling illness and adversity. Subscribe to The Verdict for more stories like this.